Wedding Crashers, a video and podcast series where wedding photographer Anna Bating interviews wedding day professionals in an effort to assist couples in planning their dream wedding days. Today with me, I have the Beauty Room hair and makeup artist, Kat Christensen. Hi, Kat. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to hear about hair and makeup and how you can help serve brides in this industry. So first off, tell us who you are, what you do, and how you serve couples on their wedding day.
Well, hi, I'm Kat Christensen, and I am a hair and makeup artist. My friend and I co-own the Beauty Room in Sioux Falls. I've been behind the chair for about 30 years and a wedding professional for probably about 20 of those years. So I can help brides with their whole look, basically, their hair, their makeup. I provide guidance on other beauty issues, whether it be waxing or hair color, hair cutting, that kind of thing. Just however to make you feel your best and look your best for your big day. And the day of, I come and I take care of you. I can stay with you through photos. It really just depends on what you need and what you want and how long you want me to stick around.
So. Absolutely. I love it. You're the definition of a wedding crasher.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Although I'm kind of invited, so that's nice. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so our first question for you, what are the hottest trends that you've been seeing in 2020? Going forward, what do you think you're going to be seeing for trends in 2021? And yeah, tell us a little bit about where the industry is headed.
Yes, it's kind of the year of extremes. We've had a year, we've had, we have some brides that maybe have been home a little bit and haven't really done much lately. So they're going one of two ways. I mean, there's always, yeah. I mean, I just got my hair cut for the first time in 8 months. So it's, yeah. So we're seeing the bride that maybe wants to go with a more relaxed look, maybe something that's straight, or maybe something with a little bit of a bend, a little texture, kind of like Sienna Miller, kind of cool girl kind of a look for hair. If it's down really loose, if it's up, kind of disheveled, little pieces that kind of fall, or loose, unstructured, pretty looks. And then for makeup, real soft and natural, maybe picking a feature to highlight, like maybe highlighter on their cheeks, or maybe a beautiful blush or mascara, that kind of thing. We're not seeing a lot of the heavy looks as much as what we have in the past. So that's one end of the spectrum that we're kind of seeing. The other end is like the bride that's been home for a long time and is like, I'm going to party. I want to look bam. I want to look like, I want the Hollywood waves. I want big hair. I want maybe a bold lip. And something that's kind of fun that I'd love to try is like crystals on the eyes, For so long, all we've seen is this, So they want to really dramatize the eyes. And also for so long, that's all we've seen. So now it's about the lips. So maybe a pop of a bright lip and a soft face, or, it's kind of the extremes. It really depends on, how you feel comfortable and where you're at in all this. And but the main thing is like the really beautiful skin. They really want to, the glowy skin, the natural, pretty face, maybe not as much foundation, or, so kind of both ends of the spectrum, really.
Yeah, cool. Going off kind of the skin that you were just talking about, how important is skincare and waxing leading up to your wedding day?
I would say huge. Yeah, I would say huge, because makeup artists can do wonders, but if you have fresh skin that's been properly taken care of, you will glow more than we can ever give you, So I would say, about 6 months or so before you get married, at least see a facialist, see a dermatologist, and just see what kind of concerns you have. Get your facial schedule, do a microderm, something like that. And, get your skin in the best shape it can be. And it's going to photograph beautifully then.
Awesome.
And then as far as like waxing, I mean, eyebrows are like the windows, and they really frame the face. So it's super important to have that maybe taken up and groomed, and doesn't have to be, crazy, but it can just be polished and ready for the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. You give me a little bit of an anxiety attack there. You said 6 months before the wedding, I'm supposed to do my skincare. I have 4 weeks left. Anyways, I'll do my best to get it cleared up before the big day.
Yes. And along those lines, what you don't want to do is have a facial the week of the wedding, or a microderm the week of the wedding. You don't want to do any real procedures like a week or two ahead of time as far as skincare, because you don't know unless you know how your skin's going to react.
Absolutely.
And as far as waxing, you want to do your facial waxing at least a week ahead of time,
Yep.
because sometimes those little baby hairs take a little bit of time to grow back, so your makeup will adhere. So it's kind of a little bit of balance there.
Yeah, actually, I'm having a flashback to I think it was my sophomore year prom. I went in to get my eyebrows waxed the day before my sophomore prom, and she burnt my skin underneath my eyebrows. So I had like this big scab under my
Oh, oh no. Oh my, were you able to fix it, or were you able to like,
I think I just covered it with makeup. I mean, at that point, you're just awkward
yeah,
anyways. So
right, right, right. And don't mind me. Just put a little
yeah,
pink eyeshadow up there.
my hair over my
Yeah.
eye instead.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that maybe, were you on any skin medicine at that point?
I actually probably was on some acne medication, so that probably played into
Yes.
the fact that my skin was like thinner.
That's exactly it. So if you have any retinols or retin-A's or any kind of skin med like Differin or anything like that, you have to be off it for about a month before you wax,
Yeah.
because that is exactly what will happen, because those are exfoliators. So if you were to exfoliate that top layer of skin with a Differin, you're going to get another layer when you wax. So
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm glad I mentioned that then.
yes, yes, it's important. I mean, I too have accidentally waxed someone's skin off because she didn't realize she was on medicine like that.
Yep, for sure.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Terrifying.
Okay, so talking a little bit about the wedding day, should the wedding party also get their hair and makeup done? I know that in the past it's been more like custom to get hair done. A lot of people get their hair done, but now I'm seeing a trend where a lot of bridesmaids are getting their makeup done as well. What is
Mhm.
your advice for maybe a couple bridesmaids that don't want to get their hair and makeup done, or some
Mhm.
of them do? What is your advice?
Gosh, it's such a personal thing. A lot of ladies don't have a makeup artist, but they have a hairdresser, so they want to have their hair looking, how they want it. And makeup artists, I like a cohesive look. So I love when one makeup artist can take care of everyone. And consequently, one hairdresser can take care of everyone, or just the styles are cohesive. And there has been wedding parties where maybe not everybody does want to do their makeup. And I think it just all depends on personal preference and if you want that cohesive look or not. And sometimes, girls are getting real good at their makeup. There's this TikTok and all that stuff. People are getting real good at their own makeup. And you have to respect that you know they they'll do a great job. So I think it just depends on personal preference. Yeah, I like it, but and it does make a little bit of a stressful morning at times, but at the same time it's party when you get everybody together. So
Yeah. Okay, maybe more of like a financial question. Sometimes I feel like brides pay for all of their hair and makeup for their wedding party, and sometimes it's expected for the bridal party to pay for it. What is the most common thing that you see?
most common that I see is the brides will pay for their own and then maybe chip in a little bit towards the services for the bridesmaids. It really kind of runs all over. And sometimes it's the gift that the bride gives to the girls. And it can be a financial, it is a commitment. So I think as long as it's laid out up front, who's responsible for what, then it hopefully isn't a problem. But um, yeah, I think a lot of times we're seeing the bride take care of their own services and then the bridesmaids take care of theirs.
Interesting, very cool. I think that's normally how I see it as well. What I was curious is how do you see it? So
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've seen. Yeah.
very cool. Okay, so a question from one of my Instagram followers. What is your personal favorite hairstyle to do on a bride or on a bridal party? Do you have a personal favorite?
Oh God, it's like picking your favorite child, right? Um, um, I love kind of a little bit of a messy, disheveled, loose, soft romantic style. Like I loved the updo we did for the styled shoot last year.
Yes.
And just something where it's I, I like it down a little bit, but I like some pieces down, but a little bit structured. So yeah, I mean that's a tough one. That is a tough one because then I mean I'm a sucker for a glamorous 1940s wave too. I'm a
Right.
sucker for that, you
Oh,
know. So just
very-
depends on the person, I guess.
yeah, for sure. Interesting. Okay, so how much time should you plan for each person to get their hair done, and how much time for like makeup to be done? How do you structure the morning? Do you help brides put a schedule together? And then how
Yes.
much time do you, yeah, allocate for each bride or each
Sure.
hairstyle?
Yeah. Oh, my cat's gonna join me. Sorry.
I
Hi,
love
here's
it.
Ruby. I am kind of a structure person when it comes to the schedule too. So I like about 2 to 2.5 hours for the bride, depends on what we're doing. And by the morning of the wedding, we've had a trial, so we kind of know how long it takes. But you always want to buffer it a little because she's going to be pulled away for pictures and she's going to be pulled away for things. So I like about 2 to 2.5 hours for the bride. And then usually about 45 minutes per service, whether it be makeup or hair per person. And granted, there's artists that are quicker and artists that are slower. So, but I usually buffer it with about 45 minutes or so per service. And um and then I always work really closely with the photographer because they have, at 9:30 I want them in their dress, so then you better get everybody ready. So but I'm such a time person that yeah, it's really important and I like to work with them. I'm kind of a little bit of a control freak when it comes to that. So if I can control the service time, then that helps.
I think there's far too many times where we're running behind. At least in my experiences, the hair is taking longer than expected, and the hairstylist said it would take less time. And so now the photographer's behind schedule. The whole day is kind of thrown off, and it all starts with services at the beginning of the day. So I think it's really important to nail down that schedule and plan out a specific amount of time for every service.
Yes, absolutely. Because you don't want to stress bride and you do not want to stress artist either. So you don't want to stress anybody out.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Kind of off that question, how many stylists should a couple hire for their day? And I'm sure it depends on how big their bridal party is.
Mhm.
Can you give us any type of numbers on that?
Sure. And it depends on services and the numbers, and their timeline. Usually, the bigger the party, obviously the more stylish you're going to need. I had a party where we had 5 hairdressers going at one time, which was crazy, but it was good. Um, Typically about two, because most, and if it's an early morning wedding or not, excuse me, early morning getting ready like a Catholic wedding, you might need more because they usually have weddings like about 1:30.
Right.
Um, if it's another situation, a lot of times the weddings are like 4. So typically at least 2 stylists you might need, depending on the timeline. So
Absolutely. Great. Okay. Um, and then about veils. One of my
yeah.
biggest fears personally for my wedding, I'm wearing a veil, and I'm just scared that my hair is going to be pulled out and tangled from my veil piece and any hair piece, I guess, that I have in my hair. And
Mhm.
I've seen it a lot of times in pictures. People will throw their arms around the bride and pull the veil right off their head. And sometimes you can't even get the veil to stick in a bun or
Mhm.
anything that they have in the back of their head. So, what kind of hairstyle do you recommend for a bride that's wanting to wear a veil?
If it's done correctly, you could really wear it in any hairstyle. So let's say you want your hair down loose romantic waves. A lot of times they want a little bit pulled back. So if they want their veil, up here, I usually like it about a little bit of an angle from their eye, depending on where they want it. But that's typically where you put it. You would pull a few hairs together and give them a little crisscross of a bobby pin right there, so that when you put that veil in, it scoops down and into it. And then no matter what other updo or any style, I always put a pin on each side so that it locks it in place. And so that way, when whoever wants to take it out that day, they can pull one side out or both sides out and then pull it up. So typically, it works better if you have it in like a bun of some sort or some kind of an area where there is definite hair that it can go into. But we've done it with the veils with the hair down too. It's just a little more tricky, and you just need to coach everyone when you're going for that hug under the veil,
Yep.
under the veil, people. Or just don't hug yet. Wait, take
Yeah.
the veil out before your receiving line if you have one. But yeah, it can be tricky. So the main thing, and that's why I like to come along during the photos. I do offer a glam package where I come with you through your photos. I'm kind of a veil person, so I like to go in and make sure it's around your shoulders, or make sure things are set. But as long as it's anchored in there properly, it should work with any hairstyle.
For sure. And I'm just telling anyone that's listening today, if hair and makeup is your like number one priority on your wedding day, you have to hire Kat because she literally will step by you throughout the whole process. She will stay with you through photos. And that's honestly like way more important than some people realize is that, yeah, if it's windy or if there's like literally if you're sweaty, it's nice to
Yes.
have that person there just in case to touch up, or you go in for the kiss and you lose a little lipstick. Okay, let's quick
Yes.
touch it
Yeah.
up. So that's a huge service that you offer. I feel like not a lot of hairstylists and makeup artists do. So kudos to you for that.
Oh, thank you. It
Yeah,
kind of goes back to my control freak thing again, right?
exactly.
Like, I'll be like, hey, photographer, I'm over here. So if you need me to get anything, let me know. Or like if I see, I mean, there was a guy's pocket square that was out. So I like walk right over and I'm like, hey, hi, I'm just going to tuck this in, or like, a lace is undone. I'm like, hold on, so I'm kind of a detail person. So I appreciate that. And I hope it's service. I mean, one day I was carrying blankets because it was freezing out, whatever. I'm here. I'm kind of your beck and call girl, right? So
I always tell my brides that in the Midwest, it's pretty uncommon. I think it's getting more common to hire a wedding planner, but it's very common on the coast and not really in the Midwest. And so, as wedding professionals, I feel like we are and have been expected to in the past fill in that role a little bit. And so, it's part of
mhm,
like our identity now that we are helping wedding planning through the whole day and through the whole process. And it's something
mhm.
that we actually like to do. Like some days I'm like, man, I
Yeah.
should be a wedding planner.
Yes. Oh, I'm right there with you. It's super fun. I mean, there's stress, sure, but it's fun. So it's
Yeah,
a super great day. Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. One of the old wives' tales that I have always been told is that you shouldn't wash your hair the morning of your wedding. Is that
Mm.
still true that you shouldn't wash your hair?
For me, I like clean hair. I everybody's definition of dirty hair is different.
Mhm.
So I like clean hair. If you can wash it the night before or the day of, perfect. As long as it's dry. So when you go for your wedding day or your trial, make sure your hair is perfectly dry. It'll save time. And the makeup artist or hairdresser might not have a blow dryer on set. But no, I like clean hair. I can dirty it up with whatever products I have, but it's hard to clean it if it's over oily. So
That was my kind of main fear is that if I don't shower in the morning, my hair is completely stringy and dry and oily. And so it's like,
mhm.
okay, well, I think I'd rather shower in the morning and add a ton of hairspray.
Yes. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Products are way better than they used to be, so I can dirty it up with texture spray, whatever I need, for sure. It's more predictable that way.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then one of our last questions here: how long before the wedding day do you recommend getting a color treatment and or your hair trimmed? How long should you let your hair grow? All those good questions.
Ooh, yeah, that is a good question. Personal preference, but I like a fresh color, especially if you're doing highlights and you want something where, it's where it's a little bit more structured. You're going to see that outgrowth line a little more. So I like a little fresh. One of the best things I can tell someone to do is to do like a shiny color gloss before their big day, especially if their hair is blonde, because blonde hair doesn't reflect light as well. So, like a color gloss of like a week or so ahead of time is great. Um, and as long as the ends are trimmed really good, at least 2 weeks or so beforehand is good. I mean, it's as long as it's just fresh and well maintained, and the ends are good. We're good. So
Awesome. That's great. Cool. Good. It's good information for me too. As my wedding comes up, I'm thinking about how I need to get my hair trimmed, and especially in
yeah.
the last year, the COVID brides that I haven't been to the hair salon in forever.
Right,
So
right. Well, that's the thing too. So if you're gonna go for your trial and you have, 6-inch roots or whatever, it's not gonna look the same the
yep.
day of your wedding if you have fresh. So just take that into account too, because if your trial is usually done a few weeks or months beforehand. So, but yeah, it's maintenance. It's fun being a girl, but it's hard.
It's hard. Totally. Oh man. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Kat, for your expertise. And this is something that I think girls are either really into or really not into. And it's important either way to know the foundations of how to have great hair on your wedding day and makeup for that matter. So thank you for joining us today. I appreciate all your advice. And if any bride wants to find you or reach out to you about a potential service on their wedding day, how can they find you?
Well, thank you for having me first. Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram as Glam Kitty One, and there's a link to my website from there. Otherwise, my website is beautybycat.com, and then there's a form there you can fill out and I can contact.
Awesome. And I'll also tag you in this post so anyone can click
Yay!
the link and follow up with you there. So
Great.
thanks one more time and have a great night.
Yeah, thank you. You too.